Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. For today's video, I'm going to take a look back at a few things that I noted during Investor Day on the 1st of March. There was a lot of activity, and as you can see by this opening slide, some really great views of the new main entrance, the Cybertruck, the Semi, all of the various models of the Tesla cars. We also have the deep crimson red Model Y from Giga Berlin and much more that was going on during Investors Day. So let's dive in and talk about some of the details. The day started off early for me. We were at the pre-game event. It was run by Brian from MyTeslaWeekend. We had a lot of people there. We had some panels, Alexandra, Merz, Herbert, Ellie in space. Of course, Brian from MyTeslaWeekend, Brad Sloan, Brian Roschetzky, and myself, and quite a bit of viewers. And it was a really great way to kick off the day. Of course, the main event was Investor Day, and there was a lot of big news that came out of that particular event, one of which is that Tesla made its 4 millionth vehicle on the 1st of March. And it just so happens that that 4 millionth vehicle was built right here at Giga Texas, a Model Y, as you can see by the inset photo. There was a star-studded cast of Tesla senior executives that presented quite a bit of information related to the Master Plan 3 and how Tesla is going to continue to scale to massive proportions to meet that master plan. We found out about the newest Gigafactory. It'll be Gigafactory Mexico at Nuevo Leon, and it's about a 7-hour drive to the south from Giga Texas. Also, we got a rendering of the Corpus Christi lithium battery refinery plant that is under construction now, and they expect it to be commissioned and start operation by the end of this year. Some truly outstanding news in addition to all of the details that we got during Investor Day. And going on about the same time, and then after the Investors Day was over at the Clive Bar downtown Austin, the Tesla Bull Stampede, and there was quite a few people from both Austin and throughout the world that were over at that event. And as you can see by the pictures, I got a chance to see quite a bit of people, talk with people who I watch on their channels and other people that watch my channel. They also had a star-studded cast of presenters, including Sandy Monroe, Corey Stobin, Rob Maurer, David Lee, Alexander Merz, Herbert Ong, Peter Fier, and many others, and it was hosted by Farzad. So thank you very much for everybody who put on this particular event, and of course all of the great people I got a chance to meet. It was really outstanding. So of course, what is an event at Giga Texas without me providing some of my observations of things that I noted? We'll start here with the Cybertruck. It was a very good picture here with the door open. What I'm particularly looking at, as you can see by the circled area in red with the arrows, is this portion of the body is actually a stamped panel, and you can actually see with the larger arrow a spot weld that was done for the construction. Also, the second picture on the bottom right, you can see some of the stamped components of the Cybertruck, and this is the interior door frames, if you will, and this is what the stainless steel panels are bonded to. So let's take a closer look at the door panels. As I've shown here, highlighted in yellow, the two pictures on the right are close-ups of the Cybertruck. The picture on the left is from Cyber Rodeo. This is a Model Y door frame, but these are the portions that make the inner structure of the door, and these are stamped components. And this will be important for a discussion in just a second. And going back to that inner door panel, basically the side of the vehicle that I showed you where the spot weld is. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that leaked image showing the Cybertruck with the shell removed, and the red highlighted area is basically the stamped body parts that make the cabin framed section of the Cybertruck. And the inset image from Cyber Rodeo is an example of a Model Y similar portion of the body. Now, I mentioned that these stamp parts are important, and it is related to why I keep showing the south end of the building. Here, as you can see the larger picture, the stamping to these two door openings. The inset photo shows you the isolation foundation that they're continuing to construct, and this is to house some pretty large stamping machines and also metal folding machines that are related to the Cybertruck. This inset photo on the bottom shows you some more of those components waiting on the southeast side of stamping until they're able to be moved in and assembled. Now, this is important because at one of the panels I was at, I was talking to a viewer and they were asking, why do they need stamping machines for this Cybertruck? And this is exactly why. There's quite a few stamped parts that make parts of the interior cabin frame and also some of the doors as examples. And I also mentioned at that panel that it's important to understand that the stamping and folding metal machines that are being installed on the south end are very different than the Gigapress or the casting machine that's being installed in the northeast corner of the factory. And of course, both of these machines and the processes that they perform are critical for the construction of the Cybertruck. So that brings us to the stainless steel skin, and what I'm showing you here is that looking at this image from Investor Day, you can tell that the stainless steel is not welded. There's no heat marks or discoloration or any type of waviness. So what I believe is that the stainless steel skins are bonded with a industrial or an automotive grade adhesive to those stamped steel parts, as I showed earlier. So I'd like to try to bring all this together to explain what I think is going on and what we'll see with the Cybertruck production. And I'm going to use this image that was presented during Investor Day to help make the point. Now, this is talking about the next generation vehicle assembly process. Number one shows you the rear casting and assembly, and this is basically all assembled as a unit to help speed up the process. The number two is the front casting and assembly, and again, this would be all pre-assembled before the vehicle takes place, and this will be a very big time and also cost savings by doing it this way. You can see number three, this is where the importance of the structural pack comes in, because not only does it give it the strength between the front and rear castings, but it also allows them to pre-assemble most of the interior, and then it really speeds the process of assembly. Now here's the other unique part. You can see number four on both the left and right side. This is the side assemblies. These would be completed, and with the Cybertruck there's no need for paint, so once that is completed, then they would be bonded to the front and rear castings and the structural pack. Number five shows you the remaining door panels, the hood, the trunk, also the roof and the glass would be installed. And again, this is all designed to help speed up the process of manufacturing. Now, during the Investor Day demonstration, when they were talking about this, it was very interesting because Franz pointed out that this is using the image of a Model Y, but this is not for Model Ys. And based on some of the other images and the information I presented earlier, I believe that this actually applies to the Cybertruck and for the future vehicle. So one of the biggest questions I've always had about this manufacturing process, both for the current Model Y using the front and rear castings and also for the Cybertruck and the future vehicles, is how do they actually attach the side or the body panels of the vehicle to the castings? And this is the way they do this. Now, last year at Cyber Rodeo, I took these up close and detailed photos, and what you can see is that the side body panel unit assembly is bolted to the front and rear castings, as you can see by the inset circles. But this image here is a close-up on the left-hand side showing all of the various bolts on the front end that connects the side panels to the castings. I believe that this is going to be the same process used for the Cybertruck and allows for this new and advanced manufacturing process that they discussed at Investor Day. So I hope that this speculation, discussion, and some of my observations proved helpful in understanding what Tesla is attempting to do with this new manufacturing process. And finally, one other thing I want to cover is, as you can see by the upper two images, these were posted by other people during Investors Day. The one on the upper left shows Franz in the Cybertruck outside at Giga Texas, and the one on the right shows it inside a portion of the factory. And I wanted to show you where this is. This is all taking place at the battery cathode plant. And you can see the bottom image with the arrow. This indicates where the outside image was taken and also where the Cybertruck was driven inside for that particular image. So I hope that you found this interesting and helpful as well. So there you have it, my recap of Investor Day, some of the activities that I attended, some of the things that I saw, some observations that I had, and some possible explanations as well. There's a lot more that was going on at the Investors Day, and there's plenty of other social media types that will interpret that for you. But I hope that you found that this review and discussion was helpful. Thank you very much. So let's get ready to go fly around Giga Texas. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good morning from Giga Texas on this 3rd of March morning, and I hope you enjoy the nice sunrise coming up on the east over the factory. I think we'll bring the drone down on this side just to kind of get a wrap up of the post-Investor Day displays that were here. First of all, we'll take a look at this clearing section. You can see some of the trees have been planted on the north side, and then a whole bunch more are just waiting here for future planting. Also, some put into those rectangular planters. We also see some work on this landscaped section. I think they may be just removing some of the barriers that were in place for Investor Day. I'm not sure if they're really doing any work per se on that part. Also, you can see that everything has been cleared up over this main entrance, and also just how this looks. And I'll be monitoring to see if there's resumed construction on this site maybe next week now that Investor Day is completed. So let's head down to the south and take a look at a few new things that are going on today and some of the activity as well. As we approach this operation with the Griffin dewatering system and also the linear plate shaft, this large circular depression with the metal plates around to keep it from falling in while the work is continuing. What you can see here is that a small excavator is being lowered down into this large pit. Also, you can see the ladder, and it gives you a good idea of scale for both of them and also the workers as well. You can also see that red tank with the water kind of bubbling. That's part of the dewatering that is going on to ensure that the water table doesn't intrude into this pit here where the work is going on. So let's watch here for a second, just the activity that is going on. And I'll pull the drone back and show you that the NACA teams are preparing to paint or put the white stain on the southwest corner here. On the left, you can see those test colors. They're getting ready to paint over those so that it's all white. You can also see how they are preparing the windows for the application of the stain. And on the south end of the building, with the exception of where that temporary platform is, you can see the entire white has been applied now. As I pull back, this is a good view of the south end. Now, I've had people ask, when are they going to start constructing here? What is it going to look like now that they've put the white coating on the south end of the wall? What does that mean? I'm not really sure. It's something I'm going to continue to watch, and we'll see together. Now, I did recently talk to a contractor that told me that there's bids going out for a very large parking garage. I don't know if it's on this south end or not, but that's something I will continue to monitor. Here we see some large pipes being lifted up onto the platform to go into the third floor of General Assembly. And also here are these two doors for stamping 2, and this goes along with our discussion, the video intro, about why this portion of the building and the equipment that they are installing is so important for Cybertruck. I also noticed here it looks like these are some white painted beams and or columns that have just been delivered, and I'm pretty sure that these will be moved inside of stamping 2 as well. As we continue to move ourselves to the east and then up to the north on this side of the original stamping structure, all of these equipment that you see with the blue are parts of that stamping machine and other machines to fold and bend metal. We also see those orange devices. Those look like the gantry crane that was used to assemble the AIDA press in the northern part of stamping 2. So perhaps either the work is done or they're temporarily holding that material here until the isolation foundation for the next machine, the ones that have the parts wrapped in blue, are ready. So there'll be another thing that I will continue to monitor. As we continue to move towards the north, here's that small parking lot that's being used for testing, calibration, and pre-delivery work. You also see quite a bit of Model Ys lined up on the left side near where that test track is with the rumble strips that they use as part of that testing. The lot is very full with Model Ys, as you can see. Also, the superchargers are in high demand right now. Still waiting to see when they will put the canopies on the last 16 on the south end. I also noticed here there's a new area of earthwork that's being prepared in this section, and it looks like small work, so maybe it's just preparing for some landscaping or maybe some new concrete. We can also see the receiving docks. The concrete apron is completed. Those very interesting load levelers are nearly completed as well, and we can see those green load levelers, the mechanical part, being installed as well. The turbo roundabout has now getting some of the landscaping, as you can see, and it's just generally looking much more finished now. As we turn towards the northeast, I'll give you a good view of the new car staging and transportation lot. A lot of Model Ys are prepared here for transportation. We can see many trucks picking up the vehicles, and there were more queuing up outside of Giga Texas to come in for their allotted time. As we maneuver towards the north part of the warehouse on wheels, we can see that this staging location is continuing to grow. Many trucks delivering some parts and equipment. You can also see those rectangular planters, those concrete planters in the middle, and quite a bit more materials on this east side of this large staging lot as well. So let's move up towards the battery cathode plant and take a look at some of the activity here today. This is a good close-in view of the die shop here on the southeast corner. We see that yellow moisture barrier, the forms that are being put in, and preparation to install some rebar. Here's a zoom in so you can see how this looks. You can also see kind of a recessed area with some of that yellow moisture barrier kind of in the middle of the building as well. And more of the concrete slabs have been completed on the east side of the building. So let's kind of fly around on the south to the west side of the die shop, and I'll try to give you some good views in here. The sun is a little bit problematic right now at this time of the morning, but what you can see on the south end, this trench work, is what it looks like. They are doing more of the blue water pipe to connect this complex of buildings to the water main. We can also see some of the work. It's a little hard with the glare that's going on this deep foundation on the northwest corner of the die shop. And also you can, with the rainwater that you see ponding up, we had some pretty large storms come through the area last night. So that's why there's so much of the water. As I turn back towards the die shop, try to improve the lighting just a little bit and give you some views inside where they are working on that deep foundation with all of the reinforced piles. And I'll try to zoom in, and hopefully the lighting will be just good enough so you can get an idea of the work that is continuing. Right now, large forms, rebar being installed, and this is all going to eventually be filled in with concrete. And then we'll be able to see what kind of equipment is installed. We also see here that looks like two large doors for materials to enter and exit the building are under construction as well. Again, the lighting makes this a little bit difficult, but the galvanized steel structure is continuing to get pipes, manifolds, equipment, pumps, and a lot of other work in preparation to make this a operational system for the battery cathode plant. As I pull away towards the north, I'll kind of give you a good view of the entire west side so you can see how this looks today. And also, as we pull back further to the north, just a good flavor for how the north clearing with all of these materials and workshops and the Connex trailers or the containers, how that looks today. And we can still see that clearing on the left with all of the gravel still unused. We see the cell test lab, smaller structure. And on these trucks, we see what I think are the red components are part of bridge cranes, and I'm not really sure what the yellow components are for. You can see some of the red bridge crane pieces on the ground here, and we'll see some more getting ready to be installed a little bit to the south. But as we get a little bit closer to this opening where the SACME presses are, I'll give you some views inside. We can see more platform pieces on the ground on the outside. We can see how some of the platform installation is going on inside on the right, smaller opening, and the large opening. We can see the third layer of the platforms now being installed. So we have the SACME presses on the ground floor, we have more equipment on the second floor, and then the third floor is under construction right now. And you can see that doorway at the very top, and it gives you an idea of just how tall this platform and with the equipment will be when it is completed. As we continue further to the south, the lighting gives you some good views inside. Also see here in the foreground more of these white and red platform components, some other steel materials as well. And then here we see what looks like platforms being partially assembled with some equipment being installed on top. And this is a little bit of a new development as well. And also we can see this red bridge crane getting ready to be installed inside this section of the building. And you can kind of see the opening with those stainless steel ducting. In this section, I believe the Cybertruck with Franz had one of the photos taken, in addition to another photo a little bit farther to the north, as we discussed in the video intro. So I'll pull away and give you a good view of the east side of the battery cathode plant and the complex and how this looks today. So as we fly to the west near where this temporary line pond is, what we can see is that some of the HDPE pipe, this black pipe that has been fuse welded together, is being prepared for pulling underneath this road. In fact, some of the crews are doing some of the preparation now next to that excavator. We can see the white truck on the road near where this trench is. We see that HDPE pipe, and across the road we can see that horizontal drill, kind of that orange drill. You can see that pole going into the ground, and some of the other workers nearby. This is so that they can drill a horizontal bore, and then they will use that same device to pull that long HDPE pipe through. And this is all important because this will provide the treated water service to the battery cathode complex of buildings. So let's proceed up now to the electrical switch yard and take a look at the activity that's going on up here today. The two large transformers on the south end appear to be just about completed and ready for connecting to the switchyard itself. We see most of the steel components have been installed onto the footings and some of the connections being made, some of the V-top circuit breakers. The last remaining section here where you see the footings, a lot of interesting changes in the last couple of days. You see those rectangular concrete footings on the south and the north, and you can see on the left they have some of the mounts for the V-top circuit breakers, and you can also see the large four footings in the middle where the 7th A-frame structure will be installed, and this will form the part of the electrical switchyard that will connect to the Megapack battery electrical storage system that will be installed soon. Here we see a very large drill getting ready to make the large bore into the ground where that cylindrical rebar cage next to it will be installed into the ground, and then a mount will be put, a lot of concrete, and then they'll be able to install the 5th and final steel power pole. And this is a good view of the overall electrical switchyard looking back towards the main factory. And I'll give you a little bit of a higher level view of the electrical switchyard here as well. And down here next to the transformers that we talked about earlier, and also the temporary electrical switchyard. And it looks like the temporary maintenance work that was being done with that trailer with all the equipment has been moved away as well. There's some of the components and parts for that 5th steel power pole that will be mounted on that north end that we discussed, where they're getting ready to do the drill and put in the rebar cage and make concrete pours so that they can mount that pole. As we approach the north end of the building, a couple of things that I want to show you. Now after Investors Day, they're starting to get more equipment back here. It was all cleared out for Investors Day. On this particular truck, we see some components that are getting ready to be moved up into the 4th floor of the 4680 battery cell section of the building. And I think this may be components for the 4680 production itself. You can see that one device that has kind of a conveyor system sticking out from the plastic. And these are being moved up to the 4th floor of this particular portion of the building. So it's an interesting development to see more equipment and this type of equipment being put up onto the 4th floor in this section. Here we see that blue truck with a large container. I think that's to support some of the plastics manufacturing. And the two platforms here on the north end of the paint shop shows that all of the materials have been cleared off. So it'll be something to monitor to see if there's more building materials brought in or if this now signals that that work is completed. On the northeast corner of the casting machine structure, most of the materials have been moved away. However, there is this body of the Model Y that's in primer. And it's kind of hard to tell in this angle, but I think that's a 4680 variant because it looks like you can see concrete underneath through where the floor is not installed, which would indicate a structural pack. Also see how they've reorganized the castings using some of the racks to make kind of a wall around this particular area, and more castings being arranged on the south side and working towards the south as well. So as we wrap up the video for today, I'll do a large pullback at a higher altitude to give you a good sense of the activity on the east side. Looking back towards the west, you can see a plane taking off from the Austin-Bergstrom International Airport to give you an idea about how close that is to Giga Texas as well. As always, thank you very much for your support. I hope that the video intro, the Investors Day reflections and discussion was helpful, and also the video with the narration and other information as well. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great weekend.